So I know we have guests. We're going to wait for my co-chair, John, who I think is coming. And whether he's arrived or not, we will start no later than 7:05. And thank you for your patience. Of course, as soon as I was trying to live stream, it required me to log into an entirely different account that I couldn't remember my password on. So that's what you saw me running through all those motions of 2-step verification, 4-step verification, change your password. I don't remember what I just changed it to, so I should write it down. And give me a moment on that too, unfortunately. And Donna, how are you? I saw you sent off an email to rediscover.
Yes, I'm fine, and I copied you so you'd know I had reached out.
Perfect. So when I remember tomorrow to do the other one, I'll copy you.
Okay, great. So everything's going well. We're just gonna reach out. I have the contact for Maeve, and Stacy had all the contacts, so I'm going to reach out to them as well tomorrow. We actually have filming coming back, so I've been extremely busy with that. Couple of shoots and a major one at Peace and Awareness
Nice.
with the rookie.
Oh, really nice.
Yeah. Oh, 70 extras for a wedding.
Oh. Where are they being stashed? But anyway, we don't have to.
I don't know. I guess, David, you know about that. But it's good.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 7:04. We're going to wait one more minute and then get started. Okay. All right, almost. I think I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. And welcome to UNNC's Planning and Zoning Committee. We've been doing this hybrid thing for a couple of months now, but I always forget to look straight at you on the television for Zoom instead of the little computer that I'm sitting with. Sorry about that. It's just force of habit because I still see the Zoom right in front of me. But in any case, I'm going to share the screen with, where is it? Hang on. In a moment, I'm going to share the screen. With our agenda. And there we go. So I hope you can all see this. My name is Laura Myers. I am the co-chair of the Planning and Zoning Committee for United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. I am on the board. I'm its vice president, and I live in Angeles Vista. And I'm going to say, and I am a stakeholder for purposes of voting tonight, if there was any voting to do. So essentially why I'm saying this is that UNNC considers, we appoint our chairs and co-chairs, and then otherwise, any stakeholder who's attending any committee meeting would be considered a member of that committee for the duration of that meeting, if they meet the definition of a community stakeholder. That would be someone who lives, works, owns property, attends school, is the parent of a child who attends school, worships, owns a business, within the geographic boundaries of this neighborhood council, and or participates in a community organization, which is a nonprofit and which has an actual brick and mortar address within, again, the boundaries of United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. So the next order of business, besides reviewing this agenda, so I'm going to show you its general public comments. We have a consultation regarding a proposed project at 2131 West Jefferson. And then we're going to, for those who stay, take a further look at the mayor's emergency directive number 1, which is now being memorialized as a change essentially to the municipal code. So an ordinance that will then change the language of the municipal code to provide streamlining for 100% affordable housing projects. So UNNC had written a letter a couple of months ago when this first began, and the Planning Commission has changed up some aspects of the order. So if we have a chance to get to it, we will take a look at revisions that we might want to do to our position, and then the governing board can vote on that tomorrow night. And if there's any follow-up to previous cases, we'll do that. So I'm going to stop the share. And not one. Thank you. Copy of the agenda to our host here at the South Seas House. Yes, you'll see some holiday decorations because the South Seas House is beginning to decorate for the holidays. And I'd like to go around the room and everybody introduce themselves and state for the record if you are a community stakeholder. And my co-chair has arrived, so we'll wait for him to actually arrive. Hi, John. I just finished going through the agenda, explaining what a community stakeholder is, saying that I am one, and that you have arrived. So do you want, if you can unmute, we move to you and then everyone else in the room. And you're on mute, however.
I hate when mute is on that automatic. Hey everybody, I'm John Arnold. I live in Jefferson Park. I'm a stakeholder and I'm the co-chair of the UNNC Planning and Zoning Committee with Laura for a zillion years. So,
right. So Donna, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Donna Jones from West Adams Avenues, and I am a stakeholder.
Okay, David.
David Murray, and I live on 11th Avenue.
Okay. And I think then I see, we all see each other in different order, but I'll go to Ramon.
I represent Tariq Nasheed for the project at 2131 West Jefferson Boulevard, and I am not a stakeholder.
Okay. Tariq.
Hi, I am Tariq Nasheed, and I am the owner of the property at 2131 West Jefferson, which is the Hidden History Museum in Jefferson Park.
And you are a stakeholder.
you are a stakeholder.
And
Louisville works for me, ma'am.
Okay, great. So the first next order of business is general public comments on items which are not on the agenda, if any. So does anybody have any general public comments? Seeing no hands and hearing none, let's move on to the item most of you are here for, I guess. 2131 West Jefferson Boulevard.
Okay,
This is, I was going to say, this is a consultation.
Oh, sorry.
This is a consultation. It is not yet a case. It has not been submitted to the city. They're here to meet with community members to discuss a proposal. And there, Ramon, I turn it over to you.
Okay, before I share, Actually, the application is being reviewed for completeness by the planning commission, by the planning department. Right now, it was submitted about 3 weeks ago. Now, I'm sure all of you know the fees for any entitlement in city of LA are significant. Right now, for any kind of CUB application, it's just over $10,000. It used to be 8,000 2 years ago, and 2 years before that, it was 7,000. So I've done quite a few of these. I'm an architect and a permit expediter, and I recommend to all my clients, even though they have big letters on the planning application that says neighborhood council approval is optional. I've done enough of these to know that the first question that I get asked by the zoning administrator is always, have you approached the plum committee at the neighborhood council? So you'll be getting the case number in a few weeks. I'm bringing this up now so that my client, Tariq Nasheed, who's on here too, can feel more comfortable about shelling over $10,000, and know that we have some chance of getting approval by the zoning administrator. What we have here, and I'm going to introduce Tariq after this. What we have here is an existing museum. Tariq Nasheed, the applicant, is the owner of both the property and the museum. It is a nonprofit organization promoting, and Tariq, please correct me if I'm wrong, promoting African American history and local African American artists. To promote his business, which, by the way, I have to emphasize is a nonprofit organization, he would like to have a sub-use in there of a bar that's only open for his weekly events. So we're not talking about a bar that's open to the public full time, but only for his art events. I'm going to share my screen now. So I think all of you, my employee Louisville, my coworker Louisville, sent this all to you. This is a breakdown of exactly what we're looking for. We're not looking for any kind of endorsement right now. We're looking to get feedback from the community. I don't.
Ramon, are you able to zoom in a little on that?
Let me see.
I don't know if it's readable. I've already read it, but I'm not sure anybody else here has read it. And if you can't, that's okay. Just go through it.
I think. All right.
Okay.
So
There you go.
the site is already an established art gallery. We're not proposing any exterior construction, and the interior renovation will be primarily involving the existing bar, which will be lengthened to include all the items for a bar as per requirements from the health department. So we are in the process right now of getting health department and change of use approval. We will be asking, we are proposing a sub-use of a bar within the facility. So the primary use will maintain as an art gallery with a sub-use of a bar. We are asking for beer and wine and live entertainment. And when I say live entertainment, I don't mean like big band. We're talking about poetry readings or acoustic guitar playing. And again, Tariq will expound on that later. We're not necessarily looking for your vote today. We're looking to get your input on it and how you guys generally feel about this, because we know that eventually when you guys get the case number, we're going to present this to you again.
Right.
But I want my client to feel, client to feel okay with shelling out $10,000 for an entitlement that we know is non-refundable. Now, if you can see this now, this is these are the change of use plans that were created for the project, but it generally shows how this is going to be operated. There's 2 front entrances. This at one time was probably 2 units. It's been one large unit where we have the art gallery, approximately 1,800 square feet. And there's an existing bar here right now that's only used for events. So in an effort to promote his art gallery, he is asking for beer and wine. It's a special license. It's not called a bar. It's a specialty license because the bar will be only open during the weekly events that he does to promote the gallery. So I want to emphasize that this is not open to the public. It's not open daily. It's only open weekly for his events. There's no actual changes to the exterior interior, as I've already described. And there's existing parking already in the back, although the city occupancy records officially show that the back only has 2 parking spaces. So some of the back area will be used for outdoor events, not live music, but just as they may hold outdoor art gallery events. And again, Tariq is going to reply to this. I visited the site. Tariq has done an amazing job with the interior and the exterior in the back. There will not be any food served unless it's catered in by a catering company. And of course, we're not proposing any kind of seating arrangements unless it's for that special event, let's say a poetry reading or a gallery showing. It's a pretty straightforward project. Again, we're not here for any kind of official vote. We're here to get the input and, gauge the neighborhood's feeling on something about this. On that note, I would like to introduce you to Tariq Nasheed, again, the building owner and business owner of the property.
Pleasure to meet everybody.
Tariq, can you hang on a second? John, do you think we need to leave this up on the screen or should we? You're mute.
God, I just muted myself. I don't think so. I think we should see each other.
Okay, so Ramon, if you want to undo the share, stop the share. Perfect. So now let's have a little community gathering. Okay.
But Ramon explained everything eloquently. We are an art gallery museum. We opened in February of this year. We've had some poetry readings there at the museum already. We've had a few other community events. We've had some caterers come in, and we just want to have the bar situation taken care of so that when we do have our fundraisers and our weekly events, that would be covered and, the community approves of everything. So Ramon explained everything perfectly.
So, although I think I know what it is, do you mind explaining what the museum, it's called a museum, what it is you focus on? And I'm pretty sure I already know because I think one of my friends has already visited you, but if you would.
Yeah, so we talk about a lot of things that happened in the civil rights movement, a lot of Black history, a lot of Los Angeles history. We talk about the history of Jefferson Park because that's a historic area. We're right next door to the Vassie D. Wright Library. We have something about Vassie D. Wright in the museum. Her organization, our Authors Study Group, they've actually had an event there at the museum. So we're very, very community oriented. We do things with the church. So we're very community oriented at the museum. We have schools come down and bring students and they do tours all the time. So basically we're showing a lot of things about history, a lot of things about the culture of Los Angeles, a lot of things about the history of California and the input of Black Americans as far as the history of California. So it's primarily a history museum. We focus on a lot of Black inventions, Black leaders, things of that nature.
Thank you. Donna, I'm sure you have something to say about that. Maybe. Are you with us?
You know, if I'm
Oh.
sorry,
Go ahead, John.
Done on the spot. How did you land here? When did you buy the property? Just tell us about your history of being in this property, because it was recently, my whole life is on Jefferson, by the way, so I pass by it every day. I know it was the Spire had their real estate office there until recently. So what happened since then?
Yeah, so we were thinking about getting it on Crenshaw Boulevard, but Crenshaw is kind of congested, so we saw that area. We thought it was perfect. It's a nice street, very clean area over there, very close to the freeway, and the space was already set up for an art gallery. We didn't really have to do too many renovations inside, so it was the perfect location. And we got the property. We acquired it 2022, the end of 2022, and we opened in February 2023. And it's been a phenomenal experience. A lot of people in the community are very proud of the place. We've gotten a lot of nationwide recognition. We've had news channels come out and do exposés about the museum. So a lot of people are very proud of the setup that we have over there.
Donna or David, do you have any questions?
I think it's a great idea.
All right. So,
I'm going to take off my hat of co-chair and put on my hat of living 2 blocks or 3 blocks away from here. I think so too. I've driven by this a zillion times, and my curiosity, which I'm usually pretty curious, wasn't piqued enough to actually look up what it was. So I'm actually excited to hear about this. I'm excited that's in our community. And you know, I can imagine that if we're going to go right to it's a CUB that we're going after, I assume.
Yes,
well,
correct.
CUB
well,
or
it's a CUB, but also event hall. I mean, in other words,
Well, it's a CUB an event hall is already allowed by right, but we're asking for a CUB because we're doing beer and wine and live entertainment.
got it.
So my opinion, this is me with my Jefferson Park hat on, is that, you know, first of all, parking is never an issue with me. AB 2097, we don't need any parking, and I'm all for that. This sounds like more of an event that people are going to Uber to anyway, and so, you know, no one's going to want to go into Jefferson Park and try to park. So I can sense that, and so it seems like it's a benign use of a CUB. It seems like it's not going to be a party session in the back. I mean, I think that's where probably our biggest sensitivity is 31st Street right behind you. And there might be sensitivity there with just noise at night. You know, the alley is narrow. There's not too much distance there. So I think as long as that can be mitigated, I think I think you won't get too much opposition, but let's let that unfold as it may. And then the only other thing is just that, Laura, the only thing I'm thinking of is, you know, we had our CUB recently on Crenshaw.
Yeah. Yeah, I was at that hearing yesterday. I'll share what happened.
And the biggest, you know, one of the biggest issues was make sure that don't have a parking area per se, but just having a tree, doing your best to make the street experience better for the community. So I can't remember if there's a tree well right in front of you, but if that could be planted or better maintained or better something, that would mean a lot to the community. Just improving the streetscape on Jefferson. You're right, that part of Jefferson is pretty good. It's right next to the park, and it's pretty tidy. It gets probably less tidy in both directions for a few blocks, but it's a good stretch. Of course, the park renovation at Leslie Shaw that probably happened about 10 years ago has been a great success. People are in that park all the time. So, and your wall faces the park, correct?
No, our wall faces the other way.
Okay, so you're in a few buildings. Anyway, so I think it's a great idea, but I'm just trying to summarize what might come up in the community. But compared to our last CUB, this seems more benign than that one was, because that was in an old theater. There was going to be an event space for people to rent for whatever parties they were having. So there's that, but this sounds like it's just for your museum related use, which I know can be very broad, but related to your mission.
Absolutely.
And it has been specified in the application. It's very specific to that particular kind of CUB.
Yep.
In other words, he's not going to be able to go back and just say, now we have a bar.
Yeah.
You know, it can't work like that. So it's going to be specified in the CUB that there will be 4 to 5 events a month, and only at those times will the bar be open or live entertainment be done.
And what we've done in the past with CUBs is, because enforcement by the city of LA itself can be spotty. And, but just having a 2-year review or 1-year review, just to open it back up to the community to make sure that if there have been any issues, I'm not distrusting that you will create issues, that if, that there's just one opportunity for the community to raise their hand and say, wait, this isn't going along like the CUB said it would. And like I said, I'm not doubting that it will, but it's one thing we sometimes put in as a qualifier is to say
We're definitely open to that, yes.
12-month review or 24-month review, public meeting.
We understand there could be a condition of we're fine with that condition of approval.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
and I'm raising my hand. I don't have to since I'm the chair.
I'll be chair now, Laura.
Oh, thank you, John. I will tell you that a review hearing costs the same amount as the first hearing. So to impose it after just 1 year might be too much.
Yeah.
So that's one issue. I did sit through a longer than I would have expected appeal hearing yesterday at the South Los Angeles Area Planning Commission related to the CUB, but also a CUX for dancing, for the essentially the adaptive reuse and conversion of the former Kokosai Theater on Crenshaw, which has been the former many things, the Ebony Showcase precursor, but it was built as a theater and then a performance space, and then a theater, and then a performance space. And CIM has purchased it, and they're restoring the historic building and making it an event hall with a bar, and people can rent it and there can be dancing. But the reasons for the appeal have more to do, it seems, with a business dispute with an next door neighbor. But some of the context was on the live entertainment. What the zoning administrator initially imposed was, even though the place could stay open till 1 or 2, they couldn't have live entertainment after 11. Unless they did a very specific study with a specific kind of sound expert.
A noise study.
A noise study, and it was to be annual. So what got eliminated at the hearing was the annual. So they're only one time. But you should kind of maybe carefully describe exactly the time frames that you're interested in, because apparently 11 p.m. is a magic time. And for someone who has an event hall to be rented for weddings and things like that, 11 p.m. was too early. So that's why they encountered it. It may not be too early for you to shut off the live entertainment. I'm just saying, be aware, because the ZA who made that ruling is probably the same ZA you'll be at.
Yeah,
So,
I don't, first off, the live first off, I don't believe Tariq has any intention of renting his place out for events.
no, I understand that, but I don't think that was, again, the issue for the operator was if they were renting it out and they are for events, those events would go past 11.
Yeah.
So if you don't care if nothing goes past 11, just make that clear. I'm just giving you a hint, because it was weirdly a kind of key bit of controversy, not with us, but with the zoning administration team itself. They were looking at whatever they were looking at. And we never put such, we never suggested such limits. So that's one thing. And on the parking, it was a little unclear, because the appellant kept saying, and they lost, but they kept saying that even with is it AB 2097 or SB 2097, whatever it is. 20, yeah, but that one, the state says you don't have to have parking. The appellant was saying, but you still have to apply. In effect, in your application, you have to reference it to say you're applying for this under the guidelines of 2097. The commission did not pick that up, but I'm just again telling you there was a lot of time spent on it. And John, what was the third thing? I'm so sorry. So there was,
Trees.
oh, I know. The third thing is a lot of museums, I mean, the Natural History Museum, you can rent, meaning I can't afford it, but you can rent the Natural History Museum, or you can rent the Science Center, and it serves as a way for a nonprofit to make some money. So I don't know that you want to completely foreclose that opportunity. Maybe what you want to talk to staff about is if we limit those events to 6 a year or whatever the number is, does that work for you? You know, I don't think anyone in the community is going to want to see you renting it 3 times a week forevermore. But it also feels like that's a kind of fundraising thing that's normal
I agree.
for nonprofit museum settings.
I'll let Tariq answer that question. If Tariq, you plan on doing that, or is that even something that's within your mission?
Yeah, that is something that we are open to in order to raise money, because we've had inquiries about people wanting to have birthday parties there and certain school events. So we're open to that as a way to raise money for the museum.
Right. So I think you ought to have that conversation with staff, because the other thing is, you know, and now I'm going to kind of switch my hat, you know, probably a West Adams Heritage Association would like to have, you know, a meetup, a gathering there, but not necessarily rent the space, but it would still be an event if suddenly 50 members of an association. And why I specifically say that organization, you may or may not be aware of this, but we published a book back in 2009 and are trying to update it, but it's the West Adams Landmarks of African American History. And you know, it's completely relevant to you, but it's also relevant to our members. You know, we have a keen interest in our local history, or, you know, not just the architecture, but the cultural heritage. So, and there are other organizations which probably would love to see your space. John, I'm thinking ACLA probably would too, right?
I should know
Yeah.
this. Architecture Communities Los Angeles is related to AIA, American Institute of Architects, Los Angeles. They're a nonprofit, and their new headquarters is going to be at Adams Block.
And
West.
Convention. Yeah, so there's a lot of synergy right here in the local. So you might want to just check with staff as to how they define event. I mean, can he do events that are not just his own poetry reading? I mean, in other words, how far is pushing it too far?
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
We understand that. We're going to be very careful in how we word it. You know, when we say live entertainment, I don't think Tariq is thinking, yeah, AC/DC is going to be the cover band tonight. You know, I think this is more like poetry readings and acoustic guitar, piano, maybe a comedy routine, but nothing that's going to blow down the neighborhood. And unless Tariq, you say otherwise, we can put a condition of approval in there that says the live entertainment will not be outside. It will only be inside the structure.
Oh, I suspect the ZA will put that in, frankly.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But what we're doing here tonight, having listened to what you guys are saying to us right now, I think that would make Tariq feel much more comfortable shelling out the over $10,000, and then he'll come back to you once you receive the packet from planning department to go for an official endorsement and vote.
Okay, Donna, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was wanting to first of all, I think it's wonderful, the opportunity for a walking venue or a close by opportunity for these types of entertainment. Did you talk about where people would park?
Oh, yeah, actually, do you have a relationship at all with the church? Because it's possible that, not that it be covenanted into the application, but if you can get a letter from the church that they'd be willing to consider, if there is a larger event, to provide parking. And which church am I speaking of? Westminster, or is there another one? I mean, you're kind of between two, right?
There's one directly across the street from us, and they let us utilize their parking lot before, but we don't have anything official from them.
Correct. I don't
I
know that
would-
you need something official, but letters of support would be good with a.
I think
like-
it's great because they may also want to have some kind of partnership with this type of venue. And the idea of having the opportunity to have wine, beer, whatever, on occasion, that people are able to have a glass of something, not walking around with bottles on the street. But it's great because a while back, they turned our community into the type of community when they were even talking about the old theater and having, when we were debating that, they were acting as though the people in our community don't know how to have a event space where they can have spirits and use them appropriately. So I think it would be lovely for because people are interested in walkability. I grew up in the area off Adams near West Boulevard, and there were many places where people walked to and were a part of places where people could go and watch an event, small events. I'm not talking about huge places, things that go into places like the Shrine or whatever, but you know, readings or music where people could walk up and listen to entertainment. It happened back then, so I think it'd be great to have that type of event space again. So that's my opinion.
You know,
Tamika, I'm sure you can get some kind of letter of support from the church for the fact that they share the parking. They've let you do it before.
Mhm. Yeah, we should be able to get something from them.
Okay,
Yes.
that would be great if we can get that a signed letter to show at the next hearing.
So I'm gonna, that was Donna's initial point, but I'm gonna point up Donna's last point where she spent 80% of her time on, which I think is a great point, is that unlike the Kokosai Theater, which is owned by CIM, they were looking to make it a venue that they were, it seems like they were obviously marketing it to outside the neighborhood, and that rubbed people a little bit the wrong way. And I think this has an opportunity, both its location is like that. It's much quieter, more local location. It's really walkable. It's walkable from my house. So I think Donna's point is really good in that it could be anything that you're asking for could be more packaged about, not about trying to accommodate parking, but more having this synergy of how it's going to operate and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to attract, and also making it, I would love to be able to walk that down there. I'd love to go over and walk into Donna's house and walk down there and with Donna. So I think having all that around is really
That's a
exciting.
long walk, John.
I've been walking a lot, so that's why. So
I mean-
I think taking the pith of Donna's comment is really important, that this can be a really just
Neighbor-
expanding the vision and not worrying about, do you have this much parking? We're not, I didn't hear that worry in Donna's.
No, I don't think we're worried about that. I was thinking just a letter from the church that they'd be willing to consider providing parking for a larger than usual event. You know,
And I think those are just ideas about how to.
Just
accommodate
ideas.
it, not to say we need this many spots, but just say
Right.
these are things we're thinking about to make it successful.
Right, but also, I mean, I just love the what's going on in this section of Jefferson, because you're between 3rd and 4th Ave, right? Something like that. So I think do you all know that the South LA Cafe is opening up at 4th and Jefferson?
Week?
Yeah, I heard about that. That's great.
Yeah, in 2 weeks,
On the 4th, I think it's on the 14th,
16th.
16th, 14th.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a loosey-goosey date because, you know, they're not built out completely yet, but
They advertised the grand opening. So
I know, but I also just looked on their Instagram and it's like, oh, they're not quite finished yet.
We're talking about contractors and construction here. It's not,
Yeah, I mean, they had a pretty honest and open Instagram. It's like, oh, they're not quite done. But anyway, but just the synergy going on just in this little stretch, that's so walkable. And of course, there's Prescott Court. So folks who live in the immediate residential community can just walk up Prescott Court. You know, the sort of, it's not really an alley. What would you call that? It's a walk street.
A pedestrian way. And
Yeah.
just being next to a library and
Yeah.
all
And a
the
park, no, the whole thing.
and activities that can actually overflow into a park is
Yep.
great.
Right.
Those are all things, but only reason I brought up parking is you don't want people to say you're having larger events and our whole neighborhood will be impacted.
Well, Donna, I hate to say this, but we're going to all have to learn that we can't ask for parking anymore. And that's going to be difficult. And
Oh, no, I'm just saying for him.
I
I'm
know.
not saying the part about writing it into anything, but just being able to call upon a partnership with the venues close by. Why not?
Sure,
When
why
they're not
not?
using them. So that's all the reason I brought it up. It may
Oh,
not
no,
even.
Donna, I'm not arguing with you. I'm kind of making a
Oh,
side.
no.
We have a new educational push that we're going to have to do as a land use committee for our stakeholders, which is
AB 2097. Yeah.
forget about it in terms of parking, which, you know, a lot of people are not going to want to hear. But anyway, we digress. Anything else that we want to say as advice? I mean, because I think they came to us for input.
Well, I went on Google Maps and saw, I forgot that the Lou Marine cleaners that was here before had their driveway on the left half of the building. And that's why there's a gap in the street trees. They just made a sidewalk there. So I would say whatever we can do as a community to support cutting out where there should be a tree, that they didn't put a tree in where the driveway was, I think would
Got
be
it.
great.
So you're saying get a concrete cutter,
It's
give
right
us
here.
some dirt.
See it, that you can see where they infilled the curb cut, which is a good thing right there. But I think if there's a process for that, I think in the neighborhood council, which is very good, see how we can support just to get it
Oh,
done.
yeah. If Teresa were here, she'd be saying that, so she couldn't be here tonight, but she's our tree.
We'll make the inquiry with Public Works.
Yeah. I mean, it should be very, it should not be difficult unless, you know, what they look at are things like, well, where's the bus stop? Where's the this? Where's the that? Will the tree be in the way?
The clean street between the two trees that are there. It's a clean, there's not a
I'm just saying, you know, we bemoan the fact, properly bemoan the fact, South LA, there's lots of ways to measure lack of equity, and one of them is the lack of tree canopy. And, you know, compared to parts of town, we are definitely lacking tree canopy, and we've become increasingly aware of it. So, there will always be people who don't like the idea of alcohol. I do not know if they will show up or not show up. We did not have that much pushback on that note from the Kokosai event space CUB request. The main thing was how to let the community participate and be engaged. And you're a museum, so that's an easy answer. You know, so if you're not, you know, when you present to us more officially and then present to the governing board, you know, be prepared, you know, state your hours, have a presentation that sort of showcases some of the things you do, and not just the architectural plans. Because I think in the end, the architectural plans in this case are almost less important than.
Understood. Yeah, the architectural plans, we've already submitted to the city for change of use to take advantage of 2097.
Mhm.
So that really won't be an issue by the time, because then the sub-use of bar will be there. We will take into consideration all the things about putting a tree there. Of course, I have to discuss that with Tariq if it's financially viable to do something like that, because curb cutting as you
Right.
guys well know, only public works certified contractors can do that. And
Right.
put the tree in. But all in all,
Presented as an error that they forgot about doing it when they filled in the driveway.
It looks like an error to me. I mean, it's so
well,
obvious.
I'm thinking I just cut the curb on weekend and put a tree in.
Well, then there's that.
I will come and I will help you. I will help you.
Well,
I was gonna say, I think Elizabeth Finner will come too. And if it's what is it, a Brisbane, what are those that you guys, that we just planted on Jefferson? Brisbane something or others.
I can't remember.
I have a
Yeah.
50% discount at Green Thumb Nursery, so I could just bring one.
No, but there's certain trees that were specified for Jefferson.
So
Because UNNC just helped plant 25 trees on Jefferson.
Okay.
So
Well,
there was, it's
so-
Brisbane something or other.
so this
I'll
meeting
be
is being
right there.
recorded. It's
Yes,
How
it
about you
is.
guys there in
should-
Yeah, this
January?
meeting
Let's do it.
is being recorded, so we're
Do
probably
not
not
talk about
taking the
guerrilla-
warrior.
guerrilla vandalism of city property. But
Right.
if that were to happen, we could.
Right.
Totally agree with you. Or we could
I'm
wait
a-
2 years for a tree to show up.
Right. Okay.
You guys know about-
Sorry,
You
sorry.
guys know about the Jefferson Beautiful project that's happening?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a little east. It's east of this location, though.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
so they're doing.
No, it's just. I mean, we want more trees. It may not be as hard as you think. It may
Yeah,
be.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, it might be actually kind of
I
easy.
think so too.
They might be putting in trees anyway and doing more
Right.
things to beautify along the
I'm
boulevard.
saying John and I will make the hole. Go ahead and put the tree in.
Right.
Call me.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
so
we
I
are
just
being
have one.
recorded, so
Sorry, Laura. I just have one more comment. So
Okay.
the Underground Museum in Washington, for its brief tenure there, that
Oh,
COVID did in, had great synergy going. I had friends from all over town that were saying, "Oh, you live near the Underground Museum," and
that's
they
so
would go,
sad.
and COVID did it in, which is really unfortunate because that really
Well, more than COVID,
well,
yeah.
maybe okay. That's my story, but I think
But also that all three trees in front of it have died. I mean, I don't even understand why, but all
I-
three died.
if this could recreate that, and maybe it
Oh,
could
yeah.
for a longer time and have this be a magnet because this is downtown Jefferson Park. So,
Right.
so-
Yeah, no, John, the underground, it's when Noah died, it kind of took the wind out of his now widow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what happened there. Unfortunately. And I keep asking, because our tenant in the farmhouse, Bennett, is actually the curator at MoCA who worked with them.
Hmm.
And I keep asking Bennett, can it come
I
back?
have
Can
a
it-
question. I'm assuming you guys aren't going to be doing Zoom forever. When
We,
you guys
well, we
actually,
might, since it's hybrid.
well,
You know, I'm in a room that 10 people could have shown up to.
in
Laura's,
the event, when you guys do get the planning number and Tariq pays the fee and everything, would you guys consider having the plum meeting at the museum?
Oh,
I don't, Laura, I don't
I
see.
don't know.
It's just
I don't know.
accessibility.
Well, first of all, we'd have to ask Teresa, would she be willing to move equipment because we do hybrid. But in any case, yeah, I don't know. We don't know what the future will hold. I
My-
would
my-
love to have a meeting there.
my
Well,
guess is-
if we are able to do that, the next plum meeting, we will Zoom from the museum. So we can
Okay.
actually give you a tour
Yeah.
of the
Got it.
museum.
I
Got
think
it.
that's better because we don't want to be saying we're pre-assuming anything or propaganda. But I think if you were there,
Well, I
at
would
the
prefer
museum
that
with
if we were pre-assuming something.
what was it?
Oh, yeah, no, well, here's what I could say technically. I don't want to miss it, but we could have in effect 2 locations plus Zoom, meaning we
Okay.
could still Zoom here, set up with this system, and people could have been invited to go to the museum as well.
Yeah. Oh,
You
Yeah,
either
we
see-
do want to present the site. I mean,
Yeah.
all of you I know will visit the site after this to look at the museum, as most
Right.
neighborhood councils do.
Well, so
I'm
yeah,
just throwing it out there.
I think
Yeah,
it's a
this-
good idea, Laura.
Basically, what you're not seeing is what we have is in terms of our technology, which could be replicated there because we also do it at our governing board meeting is at a different location. But we have a big TV. We have the Zoom owl that is who follows me around the room. We have the computer. It's all hooked up together. We could move. We can't move the TV. We could move the other two components if there was a TV in the museum. We could have a one-off in the museum, but we do it hybrid, and I don't think it's that easy to announce a in-person only meeting. Just because there are people who are still feeling uncomfortable. So we can talk about that. I'm not necessarily
Okay,
opposed.
good.
Just how do we do it?
Mhm.
And we'd have to, and the person who's not here tonight would have to be on board because she's the one who would have to set it up physically. So she would have to take everything out of here and carry it down to there. So, but we can
We'll
talk
have
about,
it right after me and John saw cut the sidewalk.
yeah, that'd be good. So, so you're gonna, what do you think the time frame is gonna be? Not for you completing it, but for then the ZA moving on it at all?
I think your ZA number will be available to you right after New Year's.
Right, but what do you think? Will the zoning administrator take 2 months? Take 2
I would
years?
say within 60 days, you'll be getting your notice.
Got it, interesting, because that'll be pretty speedy. You're not paying for expediting though, are you?
No, we're not.
Yeah, please don't, because they don't really hurry it up.
No, they
anyway.
don't. That's essentially a bribe. An extra
Yeah.
$8,500 and we're gonna move you up 30 days.
Right, if that, okay. All
Well,
right,
I'm just gonna summarize. So you have a cross section here. Laura and I are always here. Donna, I think I'm gonna say you're always here as well. So
Therese is always here, even though
Lisa's
she's not
always
here.
here. She couldn't be here today. So you have this committee will probably be much like you have it next time you show up. The board will be a bigger group.
I don't know, because there's a couple of people, Audrey, David, Sapper, they
David,
tend to come to some of these.
Yeah.
So there's some others
Yeah,
from
so-
Jeff Park.
Yeah, but so we we don't have a crystal ball, but I can imagine, just based on what happened at Kokosai, that you won't have any massive curveballs.
Oh, right.
And we'll be ready even if there are, we'll have something from the church showing that they're allowing for the parking, and
Mhm.
we'll be prepared to show the actual work and items that are displayed at the museum. That's why I'm hoping that we can do it at the museum, so we essentially
Yeah,
give a
that
tour.
makes sense. It makes sense, but we'll work our hardest to work it out. Let's just say it
Okay,
that way.
very good.
And I'm going to
Yeah.
reiterate,
Appreciate it.
approach parking not as a prescription, but as this is what we're doing to make it function well.
Great.
Agreed. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and we look forward to working with you further.
Thanks.
Okay. And for those of you who are still on the meeting when they leave, we do have one other item to quickly discuss.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I mean, you're welcome to stay, but we do have another item. I'm going to bring it back up on the screen. Okay, so John, you saw what we did. The basically, item 4, council. I'll be boring. Council file number 23-0623-S1, and the other case number is CPC 2023-5273-CA, and this all relates to the mayor's emergency directive number 1, or ED number 1, which would be to, the way it was originally written was to streamline 100% affordable housing almost no matter what, no matter where. What has happened is there was a lot of pushback. So UNNC did a letter back in around August, kind of complaining that, wait a minute, what was the point of having HPOZs or character residential overlays or specific plans or any other kind of overlay if just because somebody's 100% affordable housing, they could do anything they want without even regard to setbacks or design or anything like that. And what's happened is apparently all throughout the city, the council offices got these kind of complaints. So this has begun to morph. And in fact, even the mayor has morphed it so far to now have some bounce back from housing advocates. So just recently, they've eliminated single family zones completely from being eligible for this directive. And in the version that has passed the Planning Commission, the underlying zone, the parcels underlying zone before any density bonus would require that 5 units already would have been allowed. So that, in other words, that's before any density bonus. But if the parcel itself wouldn't allow 5 units, then it's not eligible for this program. It still may be eligible to be approved for a project, but not the streamlining, this one, not going through like this. Is that your understanding too, John?
Not in that much detail, but I think all those are sensible just to keep public faith in that this is a benefit to the world, that we're creating more housing without destroying things that we love about the city.
Right. So basically, we had previously drafted a letter that was whining about the narrowness of it. So that letter is no longer pertinent. So I'm going to take down the agenda item, and now I'm going to find, because I haven't even prepared it, maybe I have. Let's see what I have up here. I do. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the Planning Commission determination, and I've kind of preset it at a place in it. So along with this 5-unit thing, now also I'm on page 2 of the Planning Commission's decision determination, in their case, but this is what's going forward to City Council. Could still change. But essentially, to be eligible, a project would not require the demolition of any building, structure, object, landscaping element, natural feature listed or designated as a historical resource, either individually or a contributor to a district, blah, 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 or any eligible historic resource identified within the South Los Angeles Community Plan Implementation Overlay CPIO, or the Southeast LA CPIO, or the West Adams CPIO, or the San Pedro CPIO. So those other 3, including our own West Adams, are very specific about what's a designated or a identified eligible historic resource. This language is a little iffy for South LA, good iffy in a way, but in the CPIO for South Los Angeles, which includes Angeles Vista, character residential overlay, and then another 9 other neighborhoods that are not within UNNC. But its language was an eligible resource is something either identified in Survey LA or in other historic surveys. And I'm not sure that the authors of this know that, but it works, I guess, in our favor because it's loosey-goosey in the South LA CPIO. So I don't know, John, do we point that out or we just stay silent?
I don't think we can point it out all we want and then say, told you so when something goes awry. I don't think they're going to change it they're not going to change this language based on what we say. But that said, is it worth pointing out just to say, this is I think they could maybe reference it. I think about that stretch of Van Ness that got misidentified.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't think they realize that the way the South LA CPIO is written for 10 historic neighborhoods is loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
Nothing was specifically identified in the CPIO itself. So, I mean, I feel this is good.
Yeah.
I feel that, is it, kind of like our moral imperative that we should point that out or just let it go?
I
That they sh-
think we should, I mean, again, we can point it out just so we can say, see, we recognize this when they
Right.
start having conniptions when there's a problem. So I would recommend in the letters, just we have it on the record that we approved it and we recognized it. I don't think manage our expectations. That's not going to change anything, but
Okay, so then the other thing is, the other idea that was in the staff report that I think was, I can't figure it out, but was adjusted in the planning commission. The staff was recommending that the projects that would be eligible for streamlining. So again, not being eligible for streamlining doesn't mean not eligible for approval as 100% affordable, just eligible for streamlining. Staff had recommended that there be no more than 2 incentives or waivers requested. And I think Planning Commission may have changed that to 4, the number 4.
that's
Although I don't know, I haven't found that here, but I thought I heard that. And that was abundant housing proposal that they should be allowed to have more incentives and waivers. And I think City Council was the entity that wanted to reduce them. Because again, this is for projects that would not require any oversight by any entity except staff itself. Whoops, sorry, now I'm losing. Okay, sorry.
I'm not surprised. 2 is not enough. I mean, honestly, it would.
No, for streamlining.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I think they changed it. I think commission changed it to 4, but they excluded as one of the floor, a reduction of setbacks or open space.
That I knew that they were tweaking because they were getting applications like 1828 South Gramercy.
Right.
Got rid of 80% of open space. I think they're capping that at 50% now.
I don't know. Anyway, the point is just about streamlining versus project approval, because obviously there's other state laws that kind of mandate project approval that would make them still go through the normal process of public hearings, appeals, et cetera.
So streamlining is very attractive to developers. Let me tell you that it's very, so I think that they will do what they can to make it streamlined.
Okay, so for our purposes, because tomorrow night is governing board and we have a meeting where this is on the agenda.
Mhm.
Do we want to essentially support what the planning commission did? And do a community impact statement supporting what the planning commission did, because that's the level we're at. We're going to city council. Do we want to say how much we are fond of not just HPOZs, but the character residential overlays, and that it was extremely disappointing, when we first heard about one project in our area that was going to completely not be compliant with the CPIO, and so we're glad to see something like this, something blah, blah, blah. It's a simple statement. We've already approved that other letter, but that shouldn't be what we're saying now, since everything's changed.
I'm for that. I mean, I think saying we're supportive and then having not quite qualifiers to that, but just.
No, it wasn't a qualifier. Just explain why we we were the people behind these, we're some of the people behind the CPIO. We were disappointed when the first version would have created a project that was so non-compliant. So we're very happy to hear that city staff and the commission have heard
Yes.
community voices, something to that effect.
I'm all for that if the language is getting it in the public record that we said this and this and this and this, I'm for that. And even if we aren't asking for any changes and I know it's not quite a qualifier or a condition, but it's just saying, but we also see we want to say and see these things and we have it on the public record. I'm all for that.
Donna, David, anything? Yeah. I mean, I'm just glad they've kind of carved out the historic overlays and specific plans and recognize that they exist for a reason. So, okay. Well, do we need a motion, John? I guess we do.
To support the most recent rendition of the ordinance that codifies ED1, and then adding neighborhood specific commentary on components and past historic things in the record that we advocated for or were disappointed in, just to put a bow on that stuff. So
Okay.
dissolved.
Right. Well, I think we'll have a transcript of this. Hi, David.
David,
Is there a second to John's motion? And I would like it to be either Donna or David Murray, because if feasible. Or if not,
It sounds good to me. I'll
There we
second.
perfect. So, I don't think I could repeat what John just said.
I move that to the governing board that UNNC support the most recent rendition of the ordinance that codifies ED1, and to add neighborhood specific commentary on past renditions, and to point out things that are important to the neighborhood in this,
Right. And that we file a community impact statement.
and file a community impact statement as such.
And David Murray, you'll second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Or is there anything else besides the community impact statements? I mean, this is a,
No, at this point, it's going to council. So, no, I don't think so. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Digital or, okay, I don't know if Donna's with us or not. Motion passes either way. Okay, motion, three yes, and I'm sure David Safford's not voting because he doesn't even know what we're talking about. And Donna Jones, I'm not sure if Donna's here. Okay, but motion passes. Hi, David. I know you probably came for the prior item.
Yeah, sorry, I've had another meeting and I got here as soon as I could.
Well, in summary, it's what's the name of the museum,
Hidden
John?
Museum,
hidden history.
Hidden History Museum.
Hidden history.
Right. Wants to be able to better do its own events by making official the bar that's already built in there as a bar, and to have live entertainment, but that's like poetry readings. I mean,
Okay,
right. So this was not anything this was the unofficial consultation, not the.
So
Yeah,
that all live things will be indoors. There's nothing in the space behind. They're mission driven nonprofit. So it's unlike Kokusai, where it's going to be open to the public to rent and have parties and dancing till 2 a.m. So it's going to be mission specific. And they're really focused on community and the history of Jefferson Park. And there's some commentary from Donna that started with parking, but then morphed into talking about how this could be a community attraction that we can walk to, that we can be proud of. And then I made a comment that it resembles when the Underground Museum came forth 7, 8, 9 years ago, but that of course went away, and that maybe we'll have our own really nice central hub here, along with the library and the park, to downtown Jefferson Park. And they were very, and also we wanted to where the Lou Marine driveway used to be, they just filled in the curb cut with sidewalk, where there's, when you look at the aerial, it goes tree, long stretch of sidewalk where Lou Marine was, and tree. If they could do their best to get a tree into the sidewalk there to get the shade. So those are the things we gave to them.
Okay, I was just wondering because
It's behind your
looking-
house.
what's
right?
that?
And because it's behind your house.
Well, I was just wondering where they are in a project like this, because it's an alcohol permit and no one on the block has been messaged.
They haven't.
Oh, no, they haven't submitted it. It's not there's no case number yet.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that. And I was just wondering what it was and where they were with it.
Right.
They're looking to submit it in early January, so we'll get notices probably February, March.
Okay. Yeah, the dancing
Right.
also, when I saw that, I was like, I was reading going, okay, that makes sense. And then I saw dancing. It's like, okay, where did that come
No,
from?
I don't think, no, there's no dancing. I don't think.
No dancing.
You had it on
Dancing.
you had it on your
It
list.
might have been because I make mistakes sometimes. Let's just say that. I know. I'm just not perfect.
Oh no, you had
Um,
sorry, I didn't say dancing, I said live entertainment. You're right.
Yeah.
And
But,
then,
but I could have written dancing because I could have made the mistake of copy paste, from the
But
Coco's.
you're saying live entertainment is poetry readings, which is like,
Well, I'm gonna guess that they'll end up being other, I think there'll be music. There's not, but it's not gonna be
they said comedy.
it's not a nightclub.
well, that's
Yeah.
why I was wondering what they were planning on doing. So that was why I came. Anyway, thank you for the
And
update.
then, and what they're suggesting, sort of interesting, but I don't know if we'll be able to pull it off, is that the meeting at which they'll be on our agenda here, maybe conduct that meeting from their venue instead of here, the South Seas House, if we can pull
Or
it.
maybe from South LA Cafe if they actually
Across
do
the
it on the
street.
18th.
Right, but they want people to see the space. We want people to see the space.
They're never open, so I have no idea how they
Well,
expect.
okay, so again, I said, tell us how the community can visit, I mean, there's gonna be, they need to open their doors a little more. Rena got in, so, sometimes they're open, because she was walking by and they were open one day, so, I don't know, yeah.
I've never seen them open when I'm walking by, so I don't know.
Okay, so those are the open questions, but in any case, this was, just initial, see.
I'm glad they're coming to and asking, because they installed those roll down doors without asking anybody.
I saw that. I noticed that.
Uh-oh, isn't that not allowed in an HPOZ?
You're exactly right. And if anybody complains, that would be a problem. But so far, no one's complained.
Okay,
They kept the storefront that we approved X years ago. But
Yeah.
all right. Well, I'll just say ruh-oh, but
Yep.
that's a different issue
They
than,
must be having troubles because those are very deep insets, typical for streetcar boulevards. So they must have been having problems with people camping out in there. So.
I don't know. I don't even know if they did it
Just
over people
asking.
that when the building sold. I have no clue. But anyway,
all right. Okay, so is there any follow-up to previous cases, ENS and old business? John, I already kind of reported on what happened yesterday at the hearing at the APC. It's amazing how long one appeal can take when there's nothing else on an agenda. So I've learned a whole lot about this, the anger between the owners of the Burger King and the owner and CIM. Let me just say that.
Wow.
And the lawyers were there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. And the commission sounded a little sympathetic, but then voted completely against the appeal.
okay, it's the appeal. Okay.
Phew. I thought you were going to say against the. Yeah.
No, voted completely against the appeal. But they, they were asking the right nice questions.
Mhm.
And then just said, well, again, the appellant, they were saying they found a nuance in the verbiage of the municipal code that you could interpret maybe that the zoning administrator can only allow live dancing at a restaurant in Westwood in the specific plan and didn't have the authority to allow it here, but it was wrong. I mean, it was just a weird interpretation of an and or a but in the whole municipal code, because the other way to read it is more or less in the Westwood specific plan, then, there are certain criteria that must be met. And anyway, this wasn't a restaurant. I'm telling you, it went on and on and on, but in the end, the Kokusai Theater has been approved as an event space with live entertainment and a bar, alcohol, and, all of this contingent on the historic preservation component and a tree. The ZA decision was to make them add a tree. And that's one of the things the Burger King people objected to, because after all, it takes away a parking space.
And it's not even their parking lot.
Well, no, remember there's this reciprocal easement. So they're complaining that drunk people going to the event would park at the Burger King lot where there's a reciprocal easement, but, there's a valet plan. I mean, there's,
They can
anyway.
get the 4 homeless people that are taking up 3 parking spaces in their lot out of there.
And I tell you, I go to US Bank ATM all the time, and I cut through that parking lot from Christian. There's no one ever at Burger King. Like, come on. Anyway, let's not have policy.
Anyway, so I'm just saying, I thought it would be a quick hearing, and it was not. But in the end, the appeal was not supported, and I was the only community member there.
Great.
So, and I have no other updates.
I don't either, and I should get in to attend my spouse.
Okay.
Attend your spouse?
David, I want to borrow your hair sometime, please.
It comes out.
Wait a minute, John, I have one last question though. Do you have a roof or not yet?
It's 3/4 done.
Okay, because
They've replaced all the rotten, not all of them. They've got about halfway through the rotten rafter tails. They cranked up the dormer, and it's all going in, and it's great.
oh, cool. Because I drove by a couple weeks ago. It's like, oh my God, they're not moving very fast here.
I know it was slow to get started, but they're moving. They're moving.
Okay,
Spending my money. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
thank you. Bye.